What is an animal fact that not everyone knows but they should? Hedgehogs are known as the gardener's friend. This is because they will eat slugs, beetles, caterpillars, etc. and do no harm, only good. Goldfish should not be kept in little bowls. They produce a huge amount of waste for their size and so they need a very powerful filtration system. Pet shop workers will tell you they grow to fit the size of their tank. This is not true. If the tank isn't big enough for them, they die young. With enough space and decent filtration, a goldfish can live for decades. All the rubbish you hear in some pet shops is just because they know they'll sell a lot less fish if you actually knew what it takes to look after them. Cows have best friends and panic when separated from them. A bear can outrun a horse. If you see a mountain lion, it has already decided not to eat you. If you're camping and you hear an animal moving around, it's probably a skunk or a beaver or a porcupine. Bears, moose, and other large animals are surprisingly sneaky. If you blink at a cat, you're showing that you pose no threat and that it can trust you. Pigeons, crows, and ravens can recognize humans and remember faces. They also have been observed holding a grudge against humans that were mean to them. When jaguars pick a victim, they can stalk them for days, weeks, even this includes humans. I heard once biologists believed giraffes couldn't make sound at all for a long time. Eventually, they were found to be able to make some sounds, but their vocal cords are so weak it's just about impossible to hear it unless you get lucky. This fact brought to you by my fallible memory. The fingerprints of a koala are so indistinguishable from humans that they have on occasion been confused at a crime scene, waiting for an evil koala as a Disney movie villain. Also, if anyone from Disney is reading this and goes ahead with this, I will take 5% of total sales as commission. Thanks. You don't actually eat up to 8 spiders a year in your sleep. That was a myth created to show how easily people believe in myths. Source. A cat sleeping on your chest is a powerful sedative and you should not operate a vehicle or heavy machinery with a cat sleeping on your chest. A cat's purring is actually therapeutic for humans. It can even help lower the chances of heart attack. My inbox is reading like I subscribe to daily cat facts. Keep the stories coming though. I love it. The buckspur spider in the Namib desert preys on ants by hiding in the sand and grasping one limb of a passing ant. It pins the ant to the hot desert sand until it cooks to death. Just because the owner says it's okay to be pet the dog doesn't mean the dog feels like being petted at that moment. You should always ask the dog first by putting your hand out for them to sniff it. Sometimes however the dog will look at you like you're an idiot. In this case just go ahead and pet the dog, lol. That rabbits can scream, but they only do it when they feel they are going to die. When a hedgehog encounters a new smell, it will bite and lick the source of the smell to form a white foam in its mouth with the smell and then proceeds to smear it on its quills. This behavior is called self-anointing. No one is really sure why they do it though. Some people say that it's to make their quills more irritating to the touch and others say it's to hide their own smell. Edit. Typo. Horse and goat pupils. Ick, now those weird rectangle shaped ones are rectangle rather than circular to give the prey animal a panoramic view of their surroundings. And their eyeballs rotate so when they put their head down to graze, their pupils are still parallel to the horizon. It is very rare for an opossum to have rabies due to their body heat. They are also integral to maintaining the tick population. Opossums are friends, not foes. The mantis shrimp can detect 12 color wavelengths. 9 more than we can. Imagine a color you can't even imagine. Now do that 9 more times. That is how a mantis shrimp do. There's a desert beetle that's body naturally pulls water from air and stores it in its shell. The most recent cognitive science studies of animals keep showing that they are much more intelligent than originally believed. Even orders always thought to be very simple due to their brain sizes, such as birds and reptiles, have been shown to have a much more complex understanding of themselves and their place in the world than was traditionally thought with earlier scientific assumptions. A group of ravens is called a conspiracy. That you don't have to want a pet in order to care about animals. That there is no pack mentality. So being a douche to your dog to be the alpha is actually causing a good deal of damage to the relationship and will get you the opposite result of what you're wanting. Source: I'm a professional trainer and have to deal with these nervous dogs when the owners realize beating and screaming at them doesn't work. Cows kill more people each year than sharks do. Fear the cows are acute diaresis acute acute. A group of baboons is called a congress. Quite fittingly. A few things. Rabbits shouldn't be kept in hutches. They're hypersocial pets and need to be around you and have space to roam. They can be litter trained like cats. They also have a lifespan of 7-12 years and come with hefty vet bills. In Australia, you can't get pet insurance as they're considered a luxury pet. Guinea pigs abuse each other to establish a hierarchy. That's why most guinea pigs don't like to be touched on their butts. Cat bite isn't just a scratch. It's an injury that can have serious consequences if not properly treated and warrants an urgent care visit. This is because cats carry a lot of dangerous bacteria in their mouths that can infect the wound. Sharks have been around since before trees, 450 million years versus 385 million years. Alligators, crocodiles are not scavengers. They will not eat anything that is already dead. To properly dispose of a body in this manner you need to leave your victim alive, able to thrash about, but unable to escape. I recommend cutting both the Achilles tendons. This will put blood in the water, but the best they will be able to do is crawl away. Giraffes have a special place where the blood can pool in their neck, so that leaning down and drinking water does not make them lose consciousness from all that neck blood. Despite this amazing thing, drinking is still very awkward for the giraffe and leaves them very vulnerable, so it's still quite dangerous. Foxes are actually running cat software on dog hardware. Birds do not have sphincters. They can't poop on you or your car or whatever intentionally. It just flows out on its own. Cows have best friends and get upset when they can't find their best friend. If you are a cow's best friend, then it will act like a half-ton dog and follow you around play ball. Cats are obligate carnivores and come from the desert originally. This means a few things. Cats really should only eat a high meat and high moisture diet. We give them kibble for convenience, but really all the carbs in kibble and the low moisture contribute to chronic dehydration and eventual kidney disease, urinary problems in most cats. Some have excellent DNA and will live through a lot. Much like that one person you know that drank and ate like it their whole life but lived till 93. High meat and moisture in their diet changes the skin and coat, makes it less dry and dandruffy and more lustrous. It changes their activity level, makes them more active, and it changes their health overall, adds longevity, improves their immune system health. A kibble diet will cause kidney stones, bladder stones, dandruff, dry skin, make them more fatigued, and eventually they will most likely die of kidney disease or urinary tract issues. Cancer also feeds on glucose, so, as a kibble diet is high in unnecessary carbs, they break down into simple sugars and feed cancers. Meat protein does not do this. Having cats and learning this stuff really changed my cat's lives for the better. They are 16 and thriving and not just making it through a day to day. Humans are quite dangerous. There's a type of jellyfish that doesn't die. It's called the immortal jellyfish. When it hits a certain age, it turns inside out and is young again. This is just a short version of how it happens. The dung beetle in Africa uses the faint band of stars we call the Milky Way to navigate sometimes over miles to get back to its nest. Frogs breathe through their skin. They also don't have working throats. They use their eye muscles to force things down into their stomach. They also eat their own shed by slowly pushing it from the back and into their mouths. If you see a frog yawning, it's likely eating its dead skin. Mantids do in fact eat the head of the male mates, but only to ensure that the female has adequate nutrition through her pregnancy. That rabbits have unique and distinct personalities just like cats and dogs. Not to mention they need as much attention and affection as cats and dogs. Baby blue whales grow insanely quickly, approximately 200 pounds per day on average during their first year of life. That's about a pound every 8 minutes, which means that if someone put a baby blue whale in front of you with a knife and fork, you quite literally couldn't eat it faster than it was growing. Bonus fact, It does so as a result of the insanely fatty milk that blue whale mothers produce. It's so fatty, in fact, that it has the consistency of toothpaste or cottage cheese in water, and floats in big ghostly clumps before it's slurped up. After all, if it wasn't so thick it would just dilute and be lost. Blue whales also don't have external nipples, and instead have a flap through which the milk is extruded. Baby blue whales spend the first year of their life getting fat by slurping away at mama's milk. Elephants have prehensile Ds, aka that's not a leg. Some sharks will literally suffocate if they stop swimming. The Catholic Church considers capybaras to be fish for the purposes of meat consumption during Lent. The reason dogs like being scratched behind their ears is that when that area is stimulated, it releases endorphins, giving your dog a natural high. You heard it here first, folks. Your dog is an addict. I think that everyone should know that not all geckos do not have eyelids and not all can climb any surface. Leopard geckos have eyelids, so they do not have to lick their eyes to clean them, but in turn they do not have the glue-like substance on their feet that other geckos use to climb, and they rely almost entirely on their claws and tiny hairs on their feet to climb. If you see a baby bear, really anything bigger than you, get the duck away from it and fast because mama ain't too far away. Parrots do not have vocal cords. They talk by making their trachea change shape and whistle. Cats are by nature not used to consume fish and milk. Be careful to give this to your cat. It can really make them sick. Their kidneys often can't process the enzymes in raw fish and milk. Correction, milk does not cause kidney problems. Only the raw fish might. Milk, however, still can cause problems like diarrhea. Please check with your vet if you want to know more about this. Do not just trust something a random stranger posted on the internet. P. It added the correction. Ducks have weird corkscrew Ds. Never show affection to a wild animal no matter how cute, because that'll make them want to seek it out from other humans who may not be as trustworthy as you. Deer can hiss. Had to restrain deer for a field study of deer populations. Have no history with hunting and was not prepared to be hissed at. Was creepy. Peeing on jellyfish stings, while being a convenient excuse to pee on people, does not actually help with the injury. You are supposed to stick it in hot, 105 plus 40 plus degree water, which is probably where the myth comes from. But urine is nowhere near that. Salt water is just as good at that temperature, and you will have a lot more salt water near you than urine. Sharks have a special gland that allows them to filter out the salt from seawater. Other animals with this salt gland have it in their skulls, which is why you occasionally see photos of sad-looking turtles who appear to be crying. For sharks, nature has placed this gland in their rectum. Duckbill platypuses lactate as well as having the ability to lay eggs. This means they are the ultimate omelet makers. Herbivores are more dangerous than carnivores, because carnivores see a person as prey, and herbivores as a threat that must be eliminated. An animal showing teeth is not smiling. They're threatening you with violence. Leave that creature alone and learn some animal language. An alligator's jaw muscles can close with the force of a speeding truck, but are so weak when opening that they can be held shut with a rubber band. I have a few. You should really think about it if you consider getting yourself a rabbit. They're really fragile beings and can easily die of a cardiac arrest. Purebred cats could be a bit overhygienic. My mom used to breed Maine Coon cats, and if their litter box was only a bit dirty, they wouldn't use it. We also had to buy cat grass really often, and since they have very long fur they get hairballs more often in their throats as other cats. There's a special kind of snake breed that doesn't have any scales. Instead they have a very thin skin, almost like a sphinx cat, but not that wrinkly. This has to do with multiple animals, but the number of people who don't know the difference between venomous and poisonous is staggering. Poisonous, if you bite it, you die. Venomous, if it bites you, you die. Fish are animals. This should seem really obvious to most, but I'm a vegetarian and get why. Do you eat fish? Fish aren't animals a lot more often than I'm okay with. When the male honeybee climaxes during sex, his testicles explode and he dies. Next time you see a bee and it's a male, he's a ducking virgin. Cats don't meow at each other, only at humans. They made mowing as their way to communicate with us. Otters, when sleeping on their backs in the water, hold hands so they don't drift apart, and it's so ducking adorable. Google it. They all edible if you wish. Dogs burp quietly after they eat. Cats get most of their water from food, so feeding your cat primarily dry food can cause them to be dehydrated. Cats are very picky about water, and if it has been sitting in a bowl for a few days they will tend to drink less than if you change it every day. Grab a can of Friskies and change your cat's water daily. Like humans, guinea pigs cannot produce their own vitamin C and can get scurvy. It's good to give them orange peels or carrots from time to time. Numerous animals have been found to have family and individual names. Some birds, for example, will sing a certain tune to the eggs. When they hatch, the young learn the tune and they can use it to confirm their family and identify each other. Horses do not have thick skin. Many horsemen and women still believe in this saying, even though it is proven that horses actually have thinner skin than humans and more nerve endings closer to the surface, which makes them experience even more pain than humans can. So here's my message to all equestrians out there: stop hitting your horse. It's also proven that horses don't learn faster or better when punished. The exact opposite happens. They mentally shut down. The axolotl is a type of salamander thing, and can regrow almost every part of its body, including heart and brain. Dragonflies have 6 legs but most can't walk. Bonobos, small primates, masturbate, have homosexual relationships, and have sex for pleasure, not just procreation. In fact, most female bonobos prefer to have sex with other females unless they are wanting to get pregnant. Dogs can't eat grapes or raisins. It will make them sick. Most people know dogs shouldn't have chocolate, but the grapes thing is less well known. There's an animal native to Australia called a quokka. It's cute as hell and will come right up to strangers and eat out of their hands. They just run rampant through the streets and will go beg at outdoor restaurants. Dung beetles navigate their way according to constellations. When they are placed indoors, they get lost. Male anglerfish are literally attached to a female. Like, the male is basically a leech you can never take off. Dragonflies can use their D to shovel rival dragonflies' sperm out of potential mates. Octopus are the most intelligent non-vertebrate animals, but they are not social, so they don't teach each other or their children or help each other. I wonder what happens when they do. Yes, I wrote when. Pufferfish can eat almost anything including a carrot. Flying squirrels live all over the East and North America, but they are very reclusive and nocturnal, so people don't realize they're there. Their silhouettes look kind of like bats when they leave the nest at night, and people often think that's what they're seeing. Ohio has more flying squirrels than gray squirrels. Source: I have flying squirrels in my attic. One made its way into the house and I had no idea what it was. I have since done a bit of research. Locusts are genetically mutated cannibalistic crickets. They mutate when their habitat shrinks and the population is too dense. Chickens, like many other birds, have tetrachromatic vision. There's a snail that uses chlorophyll to produce glucose just like plants do. Koalas are getting extinct because most of them have chlamydia. The more you know. The Japanese bullet train is designed after the beak of the kingfisher bird since it has excellent penetration from air to water in order to hunt for fish, which gives the train good air penetration and aerodynamics, especially inside tunnels. Baby koalas eat their mothers. Polar bear hairs are not white but translucent to let the sun reach their black skin. It is part of how they stay warm. Polar bears are black, not white. They just appear white in the snow. Polar bears in the zoo are not dirtier than in nature. Their surroundings are just less white. The Red Panda Effect. This was a psychological observation when a red panda was found missing in Rotterdam. The media soon began to report to the people to search for it. People from all around the Rotterdam area began to report sighting of it, even though it was reported dead hours in advance. It has been speculated that the red pandas seen were in fact cats and dogs. Dogs get motion sickness too. Female turkeys can reproduce an exact replica of themselves through parthenogenesis. Bees can work as emotional support animals.